Hi everyone, welcome to the very last video in this series from Magical Worlds by Johanna Basford, and I am using Chromaflow pencils. It's quite sad. I always have mixed feelings coming to the end of a series or a page. It's always nice to have that feeling of completion, but on the other hand it's rather sad that it's all come to an end, but I'm sure we can cope and I'll find something else for you very soon. So we have a plant pot with very interesting looking, I don't know if these are leaves and flowers or just leaves, I'm not sure. And it looks like a little house as well. I am going to try and make the plant pot a sort of terracotta-y colour, because I always rather like terracotta plant pots. So I'm going to use this spice to start with, and I'm just going to go over the whole pot in this colour. And then I will think about where I'm going to use a lighter and a darker shade of colour. It's always nice just to get started. I'm just going to sharpen now. Oh, my sharpener's made a very odd noise. It made a cracking noise and now I can't turn my pencil in it. Not sure what happened. Just carefully examining it inside. Putting it back together. Now I can turn my pencil in it. Oh, it's eaten, look, it's eaten the wood. Ooh, goodness, look at that. Oh, this sharpener, it's a Stedler Norris. Hopefully the pencil will be happy. The lead isn't wobbly at all. So I've never had that happen before with any pencil. So that's rather odd. Now, once I finish this, it's a little bit fiddly. It's messy. I realise that. It will get tidied up. What I think I'm going to do is do these fiddly details now, and then come back to doing the pot in a minute. I think that'll be the easier way round. So my windows, I think I want a yellowy tone. I've said this many times before that it looks rather welcoming and lovely. I don't want it really bright, so I'm going to choose this dandelion colour. Okay, and I'm just going to use the one colour in the windows. Sometimes I use more than one, you know, a different colour around the edge to the centre, but that can be a bit fiddly. For something as small as this, I think just having the one colour like this blocked in is absolutely fine. Now we have this leafy design too. I'm going to do this as well. I think I want a sort of mid-green type colour, if you know what I mean. Something neutral, not too different, that'll match anything, because I haven't decided what colour I'm doing these. So I'm going to use the spring bud and just do that. I'm going to keep it flat because I figure it's painted on the pot. I don't know, might not be. That's how I feel. This door, I'm going to do this door in a sort of reddish, I think the deep vermilion, if that's what I think it is. No, hang on, that's not the right one. It's the strawberry that I'm looking at. It's next to it on my swatch chart. I can't read. I can read, I just can't line them up. So I'm going to use this strawberry for the door. I'm going to colour the handle the same colour. I used to colour door handles a different colour to the door, and you absolutely can. I mean, they could be metal, and then they would be, but round door handles are usually the same colour as the door, because they're usually just painted. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's my, it's my grandfather or my gran. Can't remember. Spice, different family, different sides of the family. One of them had a back door which was red. I'm sure it was red. So we're starting to add a little bit of shadow and shape and shading and whatever you want to call it onto the pot. and one of them had a back door that was red, painted red, and the handle was painted red as well. So that's where I get that from. But I don't know if it was red on the inside of the door or the outside of the door. I know it's a wooden door and it was solid, whereas front doors tend to often have glass in. I don't know why. Ours does, but our back door does as well. Our back door is a piece of glass because it's quite dark in our kitchen, but it's got a blind on it, and I tend to keep the blind down quite a bit now to keep it warm because a lot of cold comes off the glass. I am going to use the redwood to add some more shadows to our pot. Yeah, it's sharp enough. So I'm thinking about this back part, that I'm going to go down here and then a little bit lighter as I go right up to that line, like that. And I'm thinking under this rim here there'd be some shadow. I'm going to just gently draw that in with this pencil. Then I'm going to do a bit down here as well, and then a bit less as I sort of come in towards the middle. Yeah, my sister found a house in my grandfather's street for sale. Oh, it was fascinating looking at what they had done to the layout of the house. It made so much sense as well that they had, because his house, you went in the front door, the stairs opposite the door, that was all fine. Then on the left was the sitting room. You went along the corridor, there was a meter cupboard, and then along again you had a kitchen. But in the end of the corridor there was a Belfast sink. It was like my aunt used to call it a back kitchen. I'm just choosing my green for these. Try to think what I'm going to do with them. Let's use the green meadow. Here we go, and use it for these little leaves. And yeah, had a Belfast sink in it, and she used to keep her fridge out there too because there wasn't any room in the kitchen because there was sort of all built-in bits and bobs everywhere. Built-in cupboards, a cooker, a boiler, that sort of thing. The boiler was it was a coal fire with a water above it type thing, water tank above it. Anyway, I'm just blocking these in. I'm going to do the same for the outsides of these. Okay, and then we're going to grab some different colours to play around with. And what they had done was incorporated the kitchen into the end of the corridor, which made perfect sense to make one large room. They may have done, they didn't do that at the front of the house, and then so it had sort of a much bigger room, but there was so much room in the garden, which was absolutely huge. They'd put an extension on the back of the house as well, which I would have done too. But it was interesting because the front of the house was really dark and always cold. The sun never came in. So extending out the back, putting a little sunroom or something on the back would make so much sense. And as I say, there was so much garden. There used to be like, outside the back door there was a paved or tarmacked area with the woodshed and another shed, and then there was a wall, which under the wall on the other side of the wall was a cucumber frame or cool frame, I don't know quite what the words are. Basically it was a glass covered area and the wall protected it from the wind, and it was a sun trap, so you could grow things in there that needed it a bit hotter. And on the other side was a little bit of grass with a hedge round that you could sit and sort of just enjoy the sunshine. But then further down the garden there were all the plants and vegetables. So a big veggie patch, carrots, potatoes, beetroots, onions, leeks, cabbages. Then on the other side there were flowers which were picked to be inside the house, dahlias, chrysanthemums, that sort of thing, and gladioli, I remember. And then I'm going to find a darker colour now. I'm going to go for the pine green. I think it's a bit darker. We'll try it on the tips and bases of the leaves and see what happens. And yes, and then the other side at the end of the flower garden there were raspberry, blackcurrant, red currant bushes, and right at the end of the garden blackberries. There was a tree that hung over the garden. There was an apple tree and a plum tree, so there was always lots of fruit, jams, things like that. But my grand's garden, my dad's mum, this was my mum's dad's garden, on these I think I'm going to go darker here and fade to the bottom. It's quite hard to know quite what to do with them. My grand's garden, she had apple trees. I remember in the autumn, when the apples were falling off the trees, she always had, oh excuse me, hiccups. No, she didn't always have hiccups. She always had a sort of net strung up to catch the windfall so that they didn't fall on the floor and bruise. She had a peach tree which never produced any peaches. It was on the back of the coal shed, so it was caught the sun, but it just didn't grow. But she had a big gooseberry bush. She had a greenhouse and grew the most amazing, my grandfather grew the most amazing tomatoes ever. Oh, lovely. Memories, eh? It's good, isn't it? Right, pine green. We are going to go for basil for the centre of these, I think. You don't have to do them green. I just am unsure as to what to think of them really, so I'm going to make them green. I'm just going to block them in really to start with. But I think back then people did garden more because there was usually someone at home to be able to do it. At my grandfather's, my aunt was always there because she looked after him because when his wife died, so she was always there to do the gardening. And in my grand's house, I think they did it between them. They were retired, of course, so they had time to do that. And my parents used to grow vegetables too. My mum would do it because my dad was at work. She would always have runner beans. We actually inherited my grandfather's greenhouse, so we would grow tomatoes, things like that. But I am not good at growing vegetables. And of course you used to save so much money growing your own, but nowadays you don't. It's actually cheaper to buy shop bought than to grow your own because how expensive it is to... I'm going to use the obsidian to put a bit of dark colour in the sort of centre area here. Even the cost of watering is quite a lot, and then by the time you've fertilised or bought compost, it's just too expensive compared with the cost of just buying them in supermarkets. So it's a shame in a way. I'm really a rubbish gardener. Not only am I an unsuccessful gardener, but I also I can do something a little bit different to finish this off. I'm also just, it gives me backache, and I'm just don't enjoy it at all. So French mauve. Are you sure? Yeah, I am. Watch and see. I don't even know if it's going to show up very much, but I just want to put a different bit of colour on the tips of these. You can choose, I think any sort of pinky red would work. If you wanted to sort of match it up with the door, I think that would work too. Sometimes a bit of pinky red just works with a green. Usually, like in polychromos, when I'm using the earth green, I use it together with the juniper green and sometimes the pine green, and then I'll often use a caput mortuum or a one of the pinks, a crimson or something, with it as well. But there we are. Now on these leaves we've got little dots, And I had thought, oh, I could do some white, but I don't think it's going to work. I don't really want white dots, so I'm just going to leave it exactly as it is. I think I'm happy with that as it is. Little plant pot. We've got a tiny splash of pinkish colour in there. It doesn't look pink, it just looks different, I think. So I hope you're okay with that. But as I say, you could use one of the colours that we've used already, or a bit of raisin. Something like that would work as well. Right, well, thank you very much for joining me for the whole of this series. Should we have a look at the whole page before I go? Let some come out. We can see the whole thing all completed. Oops. You can choose your favourite. Which is your favourite? My favourite is the balloons. I was really pleased with how they came out. But I also, I'd like all of them. I don't want to choose. But yeah, I think the balloons could, because they look better than any balloons I've ever coloured before. So that's going to help, isn't it? Anyway, but thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me. I'll have a new series starting tomorrow, so look out for that. But for now, thank you so much and happy colouring.